I wish I could spend more time with you. That you gave me, talking about being a good teammate. You guys are good. But let me talk to you about it's real basketball, especially the type of basketball you're wanting to play. You're going to play some very good competition, right? It's coming. It'll come each thing. Okay? Here's some advice. Embrace the grind. Think that. When I say embrace the grind, what does that mean? Embrace the grind means there's going to be some times you're going to fail. There's going to be some times that it's not going to be good. Okay? There's going to be some times where the score is going to go the wrong way. You've got to have the ability to put one foot in front of the other and come back. All of us that have found success probably found failure along the way. Okay? It doesn't mean anything except that you learn from it. It's not really failure unless you step away and stop competing. You learn from it. It's just an opportunity for you to embrace the grind of really good competition. Because really good competition is tough. And it's hard sometimes. And you have to keep thinking. And you have to stay together. That is a fact. And I will tell you this. You all are talented. And I appreciate that about you. But if I could give you something, I'd give you persistence. That's what I do. To make what you have, what God gave you, what the coaches are helping develop, what I would give you is persistence, that ability to keep going. If there's a measure of success, I got a feeling if we dug into those people that you would find successful, you would find they were persistent. That's all. Okay? So when things go well, God bless. I think that's great. Things don't go well. Embrace that grind and kind of keep going. That's the real measure of what it's going to be like. Because there's going to be some times they'll pop up and you'll recognize them. But I'm here to tell you, I've been around great players. They have to too. The difference is they have to stay persistent. Now, questions. We're going to close down here. Like I said, I appreciate it, but I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. If you'd like to know about players or about anything, I'd be glad to tell you. How about out here? Any questions out here? Anything you'd like to know? That's done a good job.
All right, I'll give you one.
Yeah.
What do you think? So you won 2 WNBA championships. Of those teams, what do you think is the best attribute of those teams?
That's a good question. And let me tell you something. Those championships he's talking about, I went 16 years before I won my first one. 16. Okay. So that's, I had to have persistence as well. But the attributes of the team, the thing that I felt with those teams that I'm not sure I identified with every other team was that I had a confidence in them that they knew who they were. They knew kind of where their strengths were. that they knew that they were going to be there for each other the next time when things didn't go. I never, and I told my wife today we were driving out that one of my former players didn't have a great game yesterday. And I said, you know what? I'll tell you right now, she'll have a monster game tomorrow when she plays. I could count on them responding to adversity, okay? Because they knew who they were. And they trusted in each other in a way that brought out the strengths of who they were. Never had two bad days. Never. You know, and not very many bad days, period. But I could count that they were going to respond. And I'll tell you something, and this is a story I don't share a lot, but we were playing on the road, and we had played 3 games in 4 days. Okay? And we had won a back-to-back, and now we're in Washington, and we're going to play Washington in the morning game, so it's our 3rd game in about 4 days. And Washington's a good team. Matter of fact, we played them we beat them in the final to win it, but they're a good team. And after about 3 quarters, we're down 20-something, okay? And we're just, you know, we're fatigued, you know, and we're not playing as well as we could. So I took the starters out, and I sat them, and I played some of our other players who you know, maybe weren't quite as fatigued, and did that. And we didn't win the game, okay? But we had another game. We had to fly to Minnesota, and we were playing Minnesota with, they were the champions the year before. They were very good. But one player, my MVP that year, I could tell she was one to talk to me. And I said, what's up, Susan? And she said, Coach, why didn't you play since 4th quarter? Now, we're down about 24. And she said, we could have won that game. And I said, Stewie, I love you. You got to think. My job was to make sure that we won the championship at the end of the year. And I wanted to make sure that we could get to Minnesota and be ready to go win that game. And our ultimate goal, win the championship. But you have to think that we could have won. We're down 24. This is a really good team. But in her mind, she goes, Coach, you played us. We didn't win the game. Now, those good teams have that. They were never out of the game. Never. And they had to believe that. And they had to once in a while trust me that I had to do some things to make sure that they didn't, that great drive they had, that great focus they had, didn't get in the way of that ultimate championship that we won down here. And those teams have that. They always, no matter what situation I came out of, and in some cases we come out of the huddle and I talk about what they're going to do, but it was more about what they knew they could do. And that faith never left them. Never left them. Stop thanking them. Anything else? Yes.
What was Dawn Staley like in her younger days as a player?
Dawn Staley was, I took over the team. I was an assistant coach and they made a coaching change. And I took over the team. And Dawn Staley was my point guard. And so I'm a first-year coach. And what she was like was she had a presence on the court. It was, you know, the ball was in her hands, okay? And she just seemed to direct people, you know, and direct them in a positive way. She never put them down. That wasn't her style. But she was not afraid to direct them. She was like a director, even at that young age. And all of a sudden, you know, I just tried to empower her and let her kind of go even farther than she had in trying to organize her team. But she was like at the records. She had people in situations. And what was really interesting to me was she would study, like I would say to her, you know, we're going to play this team, we're playing so-and-so here. And she was so good at understanding what we had to do to make sure that we didn't let this player go off on us. Okay? And I'll tell you a wonderful story. We're playing in the Garden, and Crystal Robinson, who later became my assistant, nails a three. So we go into overtime. And we're playing, Teresa Weatherspoon is the coach of the Chicago Sky. Okay? And she was a great defender, especially in the Garden. She guarded Dawn. Okay? Well, you go into then in the overtime, when you went into overtime, the rule back in that day was you got one foul, but on the second foul, you went to the bonus. Okay? So Dawn, you know, we got a little pick and roll action going here. And she knew that Teresa was a great on-the-ball defender and would reach. So Dawn kind of puts the ball kind of out in front of her. And so Teresa tries to steal it. And Dawn's awfully good with the dribble. So she protects it, stop. Okay? We come out, we went a little side out of bounds, and we're ended up in the exact same spot. She puts it out in front. Again, Teresa reaches, she protects it, goes to the foul line. We get into bonus. She makes a free throw. We ended up just free throwing our way to winning the game in the Garden because Teresa was a great defender, but she also, Dawn was so smart. She knew, you know what, she'll gamble right here. And we can use that as a vehicle for us to get to the foul line. She did things like that was a real blessing for me to be a young coach and allowing her in those situations. But I still remember her, all of a sudden our spacing got better. All of a sudden our transition defense got better because she not only had the ability to communicate, she led by example. Those are the things I remember about her. And it was sad. I only coached her that year, and then I went to Cleveland. And I'd love to have had more years with her.
Thank you.
What else can I answer? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it answers Dawn Staley also here. But you do a great job relating to the girls and commanding their attention. Who's one person that's commanding your attention through all the years of experience? Is it a player? Is it a significant other?
Well, I was doing a podcast yesterday or thing. They said, well, who did you go to talk to? Well, I talked to her. I mean, I did. Didn't I? And my family. But the other thing that I did, that I learned from players. I learned a lot from players. I remember with Brittany Griner and I were together in the Olympics, and once in a while we talk after practice, and she asked me that question. And I go, in my later years, I'm learning about as much from players as I think they're getting from me. So I was very open to learning from different people. But to absolutely answer your question, Greg Popovich, I went to San Antonio, and Greg Popovich was the Spurs coach. We were under the same owner, and so I got to be around him, and it was like a renaissance in my coaching. It changed the arc of my career, just to be honest with you.
You handle press conferences the same way he does? You handle press conferences the same way?
No, I've always been pretty good about it. I didn't try to beat Pop, but boy, did I study. And we were a little different in that regard. But it was like a renaissance in my career to spend 12 years, waking up every day, being in the same town, going to practices, talking to him. My son went to the Air Force Academy, and Pop was a big part of that. Pop is from the Air Force Academy. And so he really changed the arc. And he hired Becky, my player. Becky coached with him 8 years. But Pop had a lot. I started drinking wine because of him. It was mostly good. Anything else? Yeah. What can you put in an email? That's really good. I want to know information about where I can see you. You know, I want to know who you play with. Okay, I want to know what your schedule is. You know, I mean, don't be afraid to go to this on the website, or you can just direct me. I was okay with that. But as simple as knowing where I could look at you. And the other thing that I just wouldn't be afraid to tell people is that you know, you value your team. You value your coach. You value your mom and dad. I can honestly remember times where I would go in a home back in the day when we used to go in home with guys and whatever. If I saw the mother and the young man and he was really respectful of them, that meant a ton to me. Stuff like that. You know, I spent more time when I went to watch players, because nowadays you can see film. I can watch film probably of you guys. And, you know, I can do a lot of those things. But when I went to the game, I wanted to see how they acted with their coaches. I wanted to see how they acted with their teammates. I wanted to see how they warmed up. You know, I wanted to see them after the game. You know, those things matter to me, because I was a great film watcher. I was a great tape watcher. But in person, I wanted to see how you and the coach interacted with each other. I wanted to see you with your teammates. I wanted to see if you could empower that person to your left and to your right. And I also just kind of wanted to see, when you all think nobody's watching you, there was a couple eyes watching people warm up, and I watched how they did those things. And that all made real differences to me. Anything else? Well, come on in here. All right. You got a team name? Okay. On three, we're just going to yell team. All right. Ready? Here. 1, 2, 3. Team.
Hey, hold up. Can we get a picture, Coach, up against the wall?
Love
Everybody up against the wall.
Nobody knows our team name.
Seems like there's 6.
You're fine.
Little in, yeah, tighter.
Hey, on 3, everybody say hidden gems. 1, 2, 3. Wow, enthusiasm. Good job. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Very much. Mila, Briley, Lacey, Claire, Alexia. You guys can head down there. You guys need to walk through stuff. Other ladies here.